How about Eric and Teddy with a question to open up the PFT mailbag? Explain the background of the PFT, Big Cat PFT Commenter thing. I must have missed how it all came about. Now, I know from the account, this is our friend Pauline in the UK, and apparently I don't pronounce her name the way that they do in the UK. It's something like Pauline or Pauline. I don't know, but it's not Pauline. They think it's funny how we say Pauline. Regardless, give us the background of how you ended up creating the PFT Commenter character. Let's start there. There's more pieces to the story. There's more chapters to the book. But how did it come to be that you created this persona?
Okay, I'll walk you through the short version of the long story. I've been watching myself on television. What do you think about the Kenny Albert hand tint? I think I might start doing this for the rest of the show. I think that's a very nice way of presenting myself. Pauline, it's a good question. I started a Twitter account back in 2012, I believe, because I really appreciated the art that went into the comment section on Mike's website, Pro Football Talk, especially as the league CBA was being ratified, as there were the negotiations. I really liked all the people in the comment section that were really going out on a limb, standing up for Roger Goodell, people that it seemed like had created brand new accounts. People forget that Mike's website was the original Russian troll bot farm hotbed of the internet back in 2011, 2012. And I absolutely love the comment section. I would scroll right past the article and start reading the comments because I thought, that's where the real takes are. That's where you get the pure, uncut Peruvian snowflake takes. So I scrolled down there. I really enjoyed what they were saying. And I decided to create a Twitter account. That was essentially if you just wrapped up the entire comment section into one voice. And I started tweeting, started replying to a lot of Mike's tweets. And to Mike's credit, he probably could have shut this whole operation down. You guys at home probably be a lot happier if back in 2012, Mike had just blocked my Twitter account in that first week that I started it. But hindsight's 2020. He didn't do that. And people started following me and they started asking me to write blogs and to expand and do some long form stuff. So I started writing a little bit, met up with Big Cat back in 2015. And we decided that it would be fun to work together at some point in the future. Fast forward to 2016, Big Cat is like, hey, guess what? I think we're getting some investment here at Barstool. It'd be great if you came and did a podcast with me. And at the time, I didn't have a full-time job, didn't have healthcare, something that I'm sure you probably can't relate to over in the United Kingdom, Pauline. And I was like, you know what? I would really like to have a full-time job with benefits at this point. Doing a podcast with Big Cat sounds like a lot of fun. So we teamed up with Hank, started Part of My Take, and then the rest is kind of taken off from there. And I remember the first time that Big Cat and I went to visit Mike in West Virginia. I don't think Big Cat knew much about you at the time, but I was like, this is my internet dad. He's cool. He's dad cool, so you can feel free to speak your mind around him, but just know Mike's he's a nice Italian father. So we ended up having a good meeting that weekend. I think we drank some red wine. We stayed above your garage in a cubby hole that you hollowed out for us. And just kind of kept in touch since then. And I know Big Cat's a frequent guest on PFT Live here on Fridays. And I always enjoy watching, even if Big Cat's not on the show. I'm actually a big Sims guy. So I more frequently watch when Sims is on. But when Big Cat's on, I'll watch. I'll DVR it. I'll watch a little bit later as a little treat for myself going into the weekend. But it's been fun getting to meet Mike and watching him come out of his shell a little bit. I gave him Mad Dog 2020 back in 2015, and I've always said that's like when the Beatles were hanging out with Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan got him high for the first time. And all of a sudden, their minds just expanded. Giving Mike that Mad Dog 2020 really gave you a nice window into his soul that I don't know would have been there if it wasn't for me stopping by and bringing it out. But no, seriously, Mike's been a very, very nice person to me personally and on a professional level. And so I'll always be thankful for that.
When did you realize, when was your holy S-T moment where this has gone from something that's just me screwing around to something that actually, is going to finance a different lifestyle? Now that you're making $82,000 net per episode of Pardon My Take, when did you have that epiphany that you're like, I can't believe this? How in the hell did this come to be?
I think probably when Jeb Bush followed me on Twitter, that was a pretty big indication I had a very, very powerful audience. I had somebody to tell people to clap for me at that point, and I didn't have to worry about doing it on my own. Now, I don't know if there has been like a holy S moment. You're trying to get me to cuss, Mike. That's not fair what you're doing right
No, I'm
there,
not.
but
No, I'm not.
not.
Trust me. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I spend hours trying to keep Sims away from that. So no, no. I'm just curious because there had to be a moment where you're sitting there, or you're driving a car if you drive, or you're playing your guitar or whatever, when all of a sudden you're like, I made this stupid Twitter account and it's changed my life.
Yeah, no, it's weird to say that, and you're absolutely right. It is like it was a stupid thing to do in the grand scheme of things. Like, who thinks that just starting a random Twitter account when you're bored at work is going to lead to a career change and really a change in my entire life? But honestly, I think the moment where I actually started to believe was pretty early on. It was the day after I quit my job, and I had nothing in terms of income planned. I was doing focus group transcriptions for a sex toy company, which, believe you me, is not as fun of a job as it sounds like. And I was getting something like $5 an hour to do it. That's the only job that I had planned after I quit my other job to focus on this writing. And so I was making virtually no money. And I was outside. I remember the day, it was still a Saturday in April of 2013. And I'm running down my street, and I got a text from, or a direct message from a good friend, Mike Tunison, over at Kissing Susie Colbert. And you guys might know him as Christmas Ape. And at that point, he offered me a job writing for KSK. And as soon as I knew that I was going to make some money doing this, then that's all it took. I was just happy to call myself a paid writer at that point. I didn't know it was going to take off, obviously, to the point that it has already. I think the first indication that I knew that it was going to be kind of next level was really when Big Cat and I got cease and desisted by ESPN on the first day of doing our podcast. Thank you to the lawyers, the legal scholars over at ESPN, for really giving us all the free publicity that we could have ever hoped for. That's my tip to everybody at home. Day one, you start a new job, try to get sued by somebody very powerful. It's really good for your career. It worked out well for me in the long term.
Yeah, it gave you guys lifts right out of the gates. I mean, you were the top podcast in sports and beyond right out of the gates. And I'm sure that had something to do with it because you had a built-in controversy before you even had many episodes out there. Let me ask you this. What were you doing? What was your job when you started the PFT Commenter account?
I was selling used dogs in Austin, Texas. I was a used dog salesman. You call them adoption counselors or whatever. You know, the people that set up the tents outside of a PetSmart. I would drive out in the morning to Del Valley, Texas, drive a car with limited to no air conditioning back to the PetSmart, and then set up these tents with homeless dogs that needed new homes. And I'll tell you, I could sell the hell out of a dog. I could put you on a Catahoula so fast your head would spin. I was the best damn used dog salesman in the history of Central Texas. I mean, not just Austin. I'm talking the greater San Marcos Valley. I was all over the map. I was wheeling, I was dealing. And then after that, after the shelter got shut down, because it turns out that the guy that ran the place was a scam artist and drove to Mexico in the middle of the night, I started doing software sales, which was my real job down there for a while, which I didn't really care for that much. But I guess I'm a decent salesperson. You wouldn't buy it from me right now. Let's be honest. Like, the only things that you would buy from this guy that you're looking at right now probably come in a gallon Ziploc bag. But at the time, I was clean cut. I was put together. My facial hair was non-existent still. And I didn't wear the sunglasses. Still is non-existent for sure. Definitely patchy. But yeah, that was my real job at the time. I quickly realized I don't want to be doing this for a long time. And so just kind of started tweeting to have fun. And honestly, it's stupid what's happened. And I got to give a lot of credit to the people at Barstool for like reaching out to me, and especially Big Cat. Without him, I definitely wouldn't be here right now. The guy's probably the most talented person in sports media, with the exception of Skip Bayless, who will always be the GOAT. But yeah, Big Cat, he makes doing this job easy. So it's been a wild ride, but it's definitely not just because of my stupid tweets that have got me here. It's been a lot of luck and a lot of help from a lot of really nice, funny, talented people.
So when was the last time your hair was at or above your ears? Was that when you were selling dogs, software, or transcribing sex toy focus groups?
That would be in the dog salesman era. That would be circa 2012, 2011, 2010, something. Yeah, I started growing it out around 2012, actually. So I was in an office, and it was just where I said, why not? I'm 26, 27 years old at the time. Let's just let the flow happen. So the original bet was I wasn't going to cut my hair until Danny Woodhead won a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, Danny has since retired. So I made the bet this offseason with Ryan Fitzpatrick that if Ryan Fitzpatrick won a playoff game, he would cut my hair and he would also let me shave his beard after that game. Unfortunately, it looks like that ship might have sailed. So I might need to look into a different person to hitch my hair's wagon to, because tell you what, it's not as glamorous as it looks walking around with long hair all the time, especially in the summer. Bad. I feel bad for women who have to have long hair like this. Also, just because like you have to pretend to find like me attractive if you're dating me, and that's not an easy task whatsoever. So they've got it pretty rough, Mike.
Let the flow happen is a good subtitle for today's show, because that's pretty much what we're doing.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.